Welcome to Now with Stacy Washington here on Salem News Channel. So excited about our show today. Happy Thursday. We're welcoming in Curtis Houck, managing editor of Newsbusters at the Media Research Center. We're going to talk about PolitiFact's full-time bias against conservatives, and also Alex Nestor. She joins me. She's an investigative fellow for Parents Defending Education. We're going to discuss how their organization is calling on school superintendents to protect our children and their data, and even us, from the CCP and their cyber threats. Let's jump into the presidency. So, guess what I have going on here? And it's not just me, it's you too. We all have this going on, and that is the brutality of inflation. Now, this morning, right before I came on air, I was watching Tucker Carlson, who has some kind of background footage that they shot while they were on location in Russia. He went grocery shopping and he bought what he thought would be $400 worth of groceries, enough to feed him and his small team for a week, and ended up spending $100 US for all of that food. He was highlighting how in the States, we're being plagued by a continual theft of the value of our money. And inflation is exactly that. It's taxation that you don't get to vote for, because when inflation rises, the value of the dollars that you have in your savings account and your 401k decrease, which means you have less money than you did before the inflationary period came about. And so you have to try to catch up when the inflationary period ends and it lowers back down to a manageable level. So I want you to take a look at what has just recently come out. It's a brutal inflation report showing just how little our money is worth right now. Watch this.
Now to the economy, and a rough day for the markets. The Dow falling more than 500 points after inflation slowed last month, but not as much as expected. The January Consumer Price Index rose 3.1%, still far from the Federal Reserve's target. Our senior business correspondent, Christine Romans, is here to explain what drove the surprise.
You know, Lester, gasoline and used car and truck prices fell. Housing, groceries, car insurance, and health care among the biggest costs for most people, well, they all rose. And when you look at the cumulative effect, overall prices are almost 20% higher today than 4 years ago before the pandemic. And grocery prices, they're up 25%. That's hitting people when they go to the store. It's part of the disconnect we are seeing between recent progress on inflation and strong economic numbers and how people are feeling. And with inflation not coming down more sharply last month, you saw that big drop in the markets today, in part because the Fed is now less likely to lower interest rates anytime soon.
So the announcement that the Fed will not be lowering interest rates comes as a huge blow for Americans who are planning large purchases, house, car, looking at doing something major in the spending arena. All of these things play a role. And I think this report is actually the background for the feelings that were expressed in a recent poll. So over at MRC TV, they're reporting on consumers saying they won't and actually can't afford to spend more time or money on green energy ideology. Now, I can tell you right now, I did the work, I did the homework. All of the information shared within this poll, you won't find any videos on it on YouTube. If you put it into Google, the only things that come up are how people are dedicated to green energy policy, how they want to spend more time on it. So this goes against what the mainstream of media, social media, everything they're saying about this is the opposite of what I'm about to share with you. So the most important thing you can take away from this is, if you feel a level of frustration with watching people that are supposed to be talking to you about the things that are going on in your life, like politicians, even at the local level. Sometimes when I have friends who go to our local level meetings for the county, they're listening to them talk about green energy things when Americans who live right here in my neighborhood, in my county, are more concerned about the same things that are covered in this poll. So the poll shows that more than 2/3 of residential energy consumers say they're unwilling to spend more time or money on so-called sustainable energy actions. This is a new global survey. So it's a 3-year study of nearly 100,000 consumers. This is extensive. And this is why I was so surprised not to see anything on YouTube about this, not to see anything on social media about it. This study, that's a lot of people. Usually when you see them studying groups, it's 20,000, it's 5,000. They'll even do tiny little micro studies. This is enormous. 100,000 people. It was conducted by professional services firm EY and detailed in its Energy Transition Consumer Insights report. This study suggests that people largely don't want and also have admitted that they cannot afford the expensive fledgling energy schemes being pushed by those on the left, especially those who are elected, but also by bureaucrats. 70% are unwilling to spend more time or money on energy sustainability actions. Two-thirds aren't planning to invest in new energy products such as rooftop solar or EVs. And this is the question was asked, will you do it today? Will you do it within the next 3 years? And the answer was no on both fronts. Less than 1 in 5, or 18%, would adopt new energy products and services if they were easier to purchase and install. So that means 18% of the people polled out of hundreds of thousands of people would literally still not participate in this, even if it was cheaper or made more readily available to them, as in the Home Depot. Because I don't know about you, but we go to the Home Depot frequently, or Lowe's, whichever one has the product that we need. And so if we went there and saw a, a solar panel, small array of solar panel that we could put on our shed, let's say, we still wouldn't do it because we don't have enough sunlight in Missouri to make it beneficial to us. And we already know that. More than half, this is 55%, say they're either skeptical of sustainability and energy providers. 15% say they're just simply not interested and want easy solutions. 23% are in need of energy solutions better suited to their specific situation. So when I say they're in need of better solutions, what they're saying is, like us, like so many Americans who don't live on the coast or in the southern part of America, if you don't have enough days that are full sunlight days, these kinds of solar panel solutions, and of course, if you don't live in warm weather climate where the majority of your year is warm, the EVs, they're not beneficial. They don't work for you. So the idea that you're going to push something that I have no interest in is a turnoff. So this connects up to the inflation report, because part of the reason why there's such a turnoff away from EVs was the Arctic freeze and the dead robots. And the other part is you don't have extra money if you're paying 20% more for groceries. 20% more for groceries means 20% less for fun things. And the EVs and the green energy boondoggles aren't even fun. So we'll have more on that. But right now, let's head into the break and we'll be right back with more now on Salem News Channel.